Welcome everyone to Spill the Pea. This week, we are diving into Parsha Noach. On the surface, it seems straightforward. A story of a man, a flood, and a boat. But as with all Torah stories, every detail is layered with meaning. And this one, frankly, was a bit of a challenge to untangle, but that's precisely why it's here for us. Everything unfolds for a reason, and there's wisdom in each layer. So what's going on in Parsha Noach? First, we're told that Noah is the only innocent person in his generation and that he walks with Hashem. Then we hear about his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth is corrupt, and Hashem decided to push the red button. Hashem told Noach to build an ark with one window, a giant door, and 3 levels, because he was going to bring a flood bigger than any flood ever imagined, and everything on earth would die. But because Noah was spiritually aligned, he and his people would be good. Then Hashem told Noah to bring 7 pairs of birds, 7 pairs of land creatures, 2 of each of the animals that lived, male and female, and then 2 pairs of each of the unclean animals. And also food for everyone to survive, because in 7 days, nothing would exist as they know it. So then the flood came for 40 days and 40 nights. The ark was lifted to float when the lower waters got crazy and everything died. And then we're told that the hurricane-like waters covered the earth for 150 days. But then Hashem remembered Noah and told the waters to go back to their place. So, on what happens to be the 17th day of Tishrei, which also lands during Sukkot on the 3rd day, and historically the 3rd day is when waters and lands are separated because nothing is unintentional, we're told again that the waters are dying down. And then in the 10th month, the tops of the mountains could be seen again. So Noah opened the window, and he sent out a raven and a dove. The raven never came back. However, the dove did. We wait another grueling 7 days. Noah sends the dove again, and when it returned, it had an olive branch. Another 7 days, the dove is sent out again, and it doesn't return. Then we get the 1st month, and Noah opens the ark. They all leave the boat, and Hashem says his famous words, "Be fruitful and prolific." Noah made an altar, he burned some sacrifices, and Hashem was like, "I'll never do this again because I literally made them of earth. So what am I going to do? Get upset every time they do something I don't like, even though I made them this way?" And then we're given some seemingly convoluted messages. The blood is the soul, and it is demanded. From every man, for that of his brother, I will demand the life of a man. And then, whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God was man made. So then we get the rainbow and a promise. We find out that Ham is the father of Canaan. And from all 3 sons, the world spread. Noah got drunk and somehow became naked. Ham saw him, tattled to Shem and Japheth, so they walked backwards and covered him. When Noah realized what happened, he cursed Ham. And then we hear all of the sons' names and the sons' sons, and we hear some familiar names like Magog, Ashkenaz, Mizraim, Sheva, Canaan, Bavel, Nineveh, Rehovot, Philistine, Gaza, Sodom, Gomorrah, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of them. Then the whole earth was one language and one purpose. And if we only knew what to do with nice things. So they started to build cities, and Hashem was amazed by the cities. But then Hashem decided to confuse the people, so they no longer spoke the same language, and they were scattered everywhere. Then we understand that Avram, a descendant of Shem, took an afternoon stroll all the way to Canaan. And here we have the end of Noah. So, first of all, when we're told that Noah is innocent, it may be a slight mistranslation. It's more like he was truly spiritually aligned. And when it says that Noah walked with the Creator, it means that he was walking side by side, in partnership with Hashem, aligned in his purpose on earth. So what's the connection? When we become in sync with our Creator, walking hand in hand, our vessel becomes available to fulfill our purpose in this lifetime. So let's talk about this word ark. Was it a sailboat, maybe a yacht, possibly even a cruise ship? The answer is D, none of the above. Ark was translated from the word teva in Hebrew, which is more aligned with a vessel or a container. Noah's teva reminds us that our teva is sacred, and when we align with the Creator and embody the divine balance of compassion and discipline, we ourselves have the possibility of fulfilling our purpose. Now, most modern boats have dozens of windows. However, our teva only has one. Why is that? Because in life, we must remain an open vessel to shine our light in the world, while simultaneously being aware of the energies we perceive and what we allow in. So why the 3 levels of the teva? Because we have 3 levels to our soul: the physical embodiment, the breath or the spirit, and our elevated consciousness. Okay, so let's summarize where we are because we went through a lot. So first of all, we are a teva, a vessel that exists on this earthly plane in 3 levels: physical, spirit, consciousness. And when we align with our Creator, we allow the divine consciousness to flow through us so that we can walk on this physical earth and embody divine light. So we're told the same thing 3 times in 3 different ways. And as life has taught us, we get the same lesson in different ways until we learn it. So first we're told the flood was a water upon the earth. And then Noah and his family went into the teva because of the waters of the flood. And lastly, it came to pass that the waters of the flood were on the earth. Can we really blame him for giving us the message 3 times? We rarely get the message the first time. Again, it's showing us that the divine layers of how things manifest on this earth. First, consciousness or thought, and then spirit or will, and then the physical action. So then, during the 40 days and nights, the waters from below stirred vigorously, and the rain from the heavens poured. So what's up with all the water? First of all, the waters below are the divine feminine. They receive, they feel, they ebb and flow. They're the womb for creation and life. The waters above, the divine masculine, are consciousness, spirit, giving, wisdom. Because there was chaos in the world, the waters below, the divine feminine, and the waters above, the divine masculine, needed to meet in the middle to be rebalanced. Meaning, our emotions are chaos without wisdom to guide them. Women have historically been placed in boxes due to our emotions. And throughout history, control has been the most understood way of maintaining structure. Control is domination. That's how nations survive and, more importantly, thrive. However, the masculine was given the divine task of protecting. Please do not take this as a sign-off for the feminist movement of 2025, because that is not what this is. What I'm saying is that men were divinely assigned to protect the feminine. Unfortunately, throughout history, control and protection have seemingly been conflated. Structure is created through protection. Control is not protection. Control is suffocation. Control is suffocation. In your life, where have you confused protection with control? Suffocation. In your life, where have you confused protection with control? Now let's get to the feminine. We were tasked with being divine. Hold on. Now let's get to the feminine. We were tasked with being vessels of divine light in this world, and it has not been an easy process. But it's not an excuse for us to weaponize seduction, replace magnetism with manipulation, replace presence with performance, or use our softness to take instead of to give. We've been tasked to be the vessel through which divine light emanates, and instead, we often taint ourselves with jealousy, cruelty, and cheap validation. Wake up. We were never meant to beg for attention. We were meant to stand in reverence. So we get through all of that, and then there's balance. So Hashem is like, well, Noah's balanced, so we really don't need this chaos anymore. Take some time, and eventually the waters die down. We can see the land again. Everybody leaves the ark, and the Creator promises never to do that again. He does add in some caveats, though. The first being, our blood, which belongs to our souls, he will demand. Meaning, our blood, our soul, is directly linked to the Creator's light. And each individual on this earth is a unique expression of that light with its own purpose. 2. From every man, for that of his brother, he will demand the life of a man. Meaning, we're all connected and accountable for each other. The third, whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God was man made. Sounds quite heavy. And what does it mean? Each of us was made in divine light. We are each an individual piece of the infinite light. So if you cause damage to someone's soul or their vessel, an equal consequence must be made to bring balance back to divine order. Now, shedding blood can be taken literally. However, we've just explained the blood as the soul. So Noah got a little high off of Hashem's supply, and Ham became a little peeping Tom and tattled. Ham is the youngest, and we've all heard the phrase, with age comes wisdom. So what was he doing here? He was witnessing his father in a state of raw authenticity, pure elation, and vulnerability. Unfortunately, because he lacked the ability to comprehend such a state of awe, he chose to gossip about it. Shem and Japheth, however, had the capacity to understand the elevation their father reached, so they clothed him. When witnessing someone else's vulnerability, how do you respond? With judgment or understanding? As mentioned before, Noah cursed Ham, birthing Canaan. Then we start going through the other ancestors, and now we're told all the people spoke the same language and had the same purpose, meaning everyone used their words with the awareness of the creative divinity of the word itself, and everyone was aligned and in sync with their divine purpose. So what? Did Hashem get bored or a little needy? I'd say probably the latter. Similarly to the serpent, if we don't have separation from our Creator, most people don't feel the urge to seek Him. So Hashem was basically building it in so that we would consciously make the choice to seek connection to Him. Then we do what we do best and we build buildings, and generations later, we get Avram. So we covered a lot this week with Noah, and it's only week 2. Our vessels, our bodies, are what carry us through life. And most of the time, our perception stops there. That we're physical beings meant to go through the physical tasks of existing on this earth. But our body is only the lowest manifestation of what we're capable of. We often get so lost in the mundanity of life that we forget that we have access to holy breath and divine consciousness. When we only see ourselves as physical vessels, it's easy to get caught in the mindset of control. But are we really embodying faith if we only feel safe when we're holding the leash? When we only see ourselves as physical vessels, our feminine becomes suffocated and our masculine becomes a vault. Our purpose, our ability to create the flow of infinite light together as masculine and feminine, needs to be rebalanced. Because raging women and crying men is just not the move. It's not cute, and it's been ugly for a very long time. The more the feminine can connect with mercy and compassion, and the more the masculine connects to discipline and structure, the stronger the teva we are cultivating becomes, because that's what balance is. So men, please stop trying. So men, stop crying for control, and women, stop having temper tantrums. I literally just described 4-year-olds, and I know that we're the children of God, but do we really need to take it that seriously? And let's be clear, both men and women have masculine qualities and feminine qualities. However, there must be balance. So a challenge for this week. When you feel the need to be controlling or feel that you have to dominate someone or something, cool your ego off with a little compassion and mercy. On the other side, if you feel yourself boiling over with emotion, compose yourself with a little discipline. Because domination and wild emotions only ever bring us chaos. So gentlemen, step up, and ladies, stand tall. And we'll see you on the next one.